Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins. It is, we're mightily close to WrestleMania Night 1 now. Literally 24 hours away from Night 1 of WrestleMania, but that's not important right now. What is important is obviously our partnership with Progress Wrestling, and we thank Progress very much for letting us in to them, and we're partnering with them for the year. Now, the person that we're interviewing today has had quite an eventful, certainly eventful year or so with Progress, and we'll get into that in a minute. But right now, he is just rehabbing an injury, which we'll talk about straight away. That is Mr. Charlie Sterling. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, Adam. Thanks for asking, mate. Yeah, like you said about this injury, I'm just at home rehabbing, recovering, and getting ready to come back at some point. Fingers crossed this year.
Excellent stuff. Charlotte, I didn't know. How long have you actually had? Because we saw you at Twisted Metal. We'll get into all of that stuff in a minute. That's when I last saw you, and then it come out. When did the injury actually happen?
So I was wrestling in Dublin at Christmas time, wrestling on a great show in a venue called the Moat, which is a little theater in Dublin, and just outside. And I was wrestling a guy called Sean Guinness, and he's a wonderful wrestler. Look him up on Instagram, great wrestler, and OTT regular. And as I was climbing the top rope, I knew Sean was going to give me a superplex off the top, and so I've gone to climb like I've done it a million times. And as I've climbed the top rope, my knee's locked in place. It's just flexed and locked. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, he's about to throw me off this top rope. I'm going to have to get his leg straight. So I just kicked the leg straight, and I heard a click happen, and he threw me off the top. And my leg was swollen and hurt from there. I finished the match, finished the match, and unfortunately came back to the afterwards, and my leg had doubled in size. And I went and saw a consultant after that, and he said, "Yeah, you've torn your lateral meniscus."
Ouch. But you've carried on because you've obviously done that at Christmas. That was sort of December time.
Mm.
Twisted Metal was February. Yeah, February, wasn't it? Back
Yeah.
in February. So you'd carried on wrestling with this injury.
Mm.
How do you? I know this is probably going to sound like a really stupid question. I've trained wrestling. I've never done it professionally for a living. How do you honestly go about wrestling when you've got an injury as severe as that?
Well, it's a good idea to use your experience. I've been wrestling for 12 plus years, and if there's anything I can do is I can change how I work. I've always been a character kind of wrestler, and I've used character as much as my athletic ability. So I just try and take it away, reduce the athletic side, and produce more character work, strikes, etc. It's just much easier to be able to use those kind of parts of your wrestling skill than have to jump off the top rope all day long and things like that. Although I was still doing that, but also it's your opponent as well. You know the guys you're wrestling. You go in there and say you're injured, they're going to come back to you and say, "No problem. Can we do this? Can we do this?" And you try and find a point in the middle where it works for both of you, and that just comes with experience and time, and of course knowing your body and how injured you are. A meniscus injury isn't as bad as an ACL injury. If it was an ACL, I could never have wrestled. That's fundamental to the knee. The lateral meniscus, still fundamental, but I could get away with it for a bit of time. Mainly just to get my ducks in line, because it was very important that I held 2 championships at the time in the country. It was very important for me that I saw those dates through and dropped the titles in a respective way to the people that I was dropping the belts to. It was just a bit of business at the end of the day.
Indeed, it was. And let's just talk about Twisted Metal Progress. This was the first show that we attended as part of our, partnership with Progress Wrestling. It gained a lot of coverage pretty much worldwide before the show due to, one of the leader really of Dominatus Regnum, Spike Trivet, and Kid Lycos's feud. That just seemed to captivate everyone more like if it was like a WWE or an AEW storyline. It was so well put out for so long. Did it even surprise you that the attention it gained, not just nationally, but internationally?
Well, I've been watching this feud develop over a long time since we started, since we put Dominatus Regnum together back in, I think it was January maybe last year. I've been watching this develop over time. I've been working with the guys as well. Maybe not so much on the Spike and Lycos centered matches, but I've been involved in tag matches with them, so I've seen the story bites and things that they're putting together for it. And the team, the guys who are putting the stories together backstage, Lycos, Spike. I'll tell you what, those guys had some great ideas, and it's no surprise to me that it did so well because just of the amount of time and effort and the amount of and they allowed the story to grow. There were turns and twists, Lycos unmasking, Simon nearly losing. It was great, and to be involved in that as well, we were able to put our own little bits in. Me, Nick, Bullet, Lycos too, and have our own little things outside the story. So that Twisted Metal show was as much about that match as it was about Dominatus Reynham against the Lycos Gym and the other baby faces of the show. And I felt it really came together. And to get that kind of reaction online was great to see.
Yeah.
And I was truly honored to be a part of the cage match as well. Putting my little 20p in, which was all I ever wanted, out of wrestling. So happy days.
It did kind of feel that it was like Dominatus Regnum against the world.
Yeah.
It literally was a whole roster against you. I know we went to the first Progress show I'd been to in years was the Long Halloween. And that was when it really, it literally started. You guys just started brawling literally at the start of the show. It set up, I think, a match later on. I can't remember the
What, we do a street fight?
Yes, that was it.
I think I wore double denim on that one.
You did wear double denim on that one, and it was. I remember it because girlfriend Rachel does all the pictures. Well, I think it was the other Lycos run past and like literally trod on her ankles. We went past. Spike ended up in a laps at one point during the show. But just going back to Twisted Metal on that. Now it was the culmination of obviously you, the Smoking Aces as well, losing the tag team titles in a bit of a weird circumstance earlier on in the show. Those cheeky little buggers, so to speak, Charles Crowley, Alexis Falcon, won a match. You guys retained against Sanity, and that was quite an interesting match itself because working with guys that have been in WWE and I don't like to say the big leagues because Progress is a big league, but over in America, working the circuits over there, do you as a wrestler try to tap into their knowledge, their experience of big time matches to help bring that story together?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're working with guys like Damo, and Damo he's the locker room leader of Progress. He is the man. He's the most experienced. He's been over there. He's done it. He's been on SmackDown. He's done pay-per-view. You do look to him, especially when you're planning matches and putting matches together, for that insight, for that knowledge. I wrestled Damo, I'm going to say 1,000 times, probably 10 times last year. I couldn't get rid of him. You can get rid of me. I was thinking, if you ask him, he'd be more likely to want to get rid of me. But I wrestled him 10 times. And by that point, so I knew his style, I knew how he worked, but most importantly, he knew how I worked as well. A lot of things we were able to just put together. And then the essence of the match we could then put with the rest of the boys as well. But yeah, you do tap into that, and you do respect their achievements. But a really good thing about us as well over here in England and the UK is that we have a bunch of wrestlers who are very experienced in doing different styles of wrestling, because we've got so many shows, we do so many different styles. When they come over from America and come back and work us, it's like a breath of fresh air, because we have a different style and we can work with them. And they're not doing 5-minute matches anymore on TV. They're doing 20-minute matches on indie circuits, which is completely different, and it's really good fun for them. And it's great to be able to give each other that experience when we're wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. And also one of those things I would say with Progress, they do bring a lot of talent, sort of overseas talent over from the States and that. But is it also just as important when you're sort of behind the curtain, so to speak, maybe pulling back the curtain a little bit here, but you tap into maybe them watching your matches or the bigger names, sort of sitting there talking with them, finding out just little bits and pieces?
Our peers are to basically build us up as wrestlers. We love how much the fan reactions are what we look for. Often backstage, you'll find 10 people surrounding the monitor watching. It might not just be the foreign wrestlers who are coming in. It might not be the big names. It might be your best friend who's watching your match, and that's just as important as well, because they're the ones who are going to come up to you and say, hey, this worked. Hey, this didn't work. And then of course you can go and ask the guys, and depending on who they are, will give you what kind of feedback. But when you know guys are watching in that environment, especially like Progress, you do turn up a notch because it's Progress, because it's the best wrestling in the country. You do tap it up and you do end up putting out your best work.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, that was brilliant, that match with Sanity at Twisted Metal, but it was after that match. Maybe, I don't know, a little bit of goading from Alexis, a little bit of goading from Crowley, but they made you and Nick put your titles up straight away, straight after that match. And unfortunately, that was when you guys dropped the titles. But you've had the titles, you had the titles for a while. Is it, I don't know, but losing it now and passing them on, is it now kind of a start as obviously your injury as well, but a reset for both of you as well as a reset for the tag division at Progress?
Well, I just want to touch on that match with Crowley and Alex. That match wasn't supposed to happen that day. It was because of my injury. We had to bring the match forward to that point. We had to drop the titles from them because of my injury. Now, over the past month or so, I've been working with the team at Progress, and I've got to say right here, right now, they are the most professional. They are the best team I have ever worked with in my career, because they sat with me and they said, how can we do this, which will make it easiest for you, Charlie? And this is their tag team titles. They could have said to me, no, we want this. Be there, please. You're the tag champ. But they worked with me. I worked with them, and we managed to find a solution to be able to do it without risking my knee. I dropped the titles on February 25th.
Yep.
I was in for surgery on February 27th. So I think we were supposed to wrestle them the following week down at the Dome, but I couldn't get there because of the surgery. So they worked with me. I worked with them, and I just want to say that they're a great team, and any wrestler who works for Progress, that's where they should be aiming for, to wrestle for them, because they will look after you from a professional standpoint as well as a personal standpoint.
Yeah, exactly that. And you do have to give kudos for Progress for working with you on next. Yeah, I think it was March the 7th, I want to say, was Tufnell Dome, Diamond Dust, wasn't it? That was the
well, it was Nick and Bullet against them, right? So that was going to be us against them. But that's just to give you a little insight of what was supposed to happen. But
a bit of an insight indeed, and thanks for that. It's good to know as well. But you do have a connection in a way with the Progress fans. It was obviously generally being your character side. You hear very high-pitched Charlie getting called. I mean, we was at the balcony and I could hear it all day. I think we spoke to him on the train on the way back. But any connection with the fans is good. It means that you're doing the job that you're meant to do correctly, I suspect.
Well, it's always my intention. You've got the best wrestlers in the world doing the best wrestling in the world. We're everywhere, and everyone watches those kind of wrestlers. And I'm a solid pro wrestler, but I also like to connect with the crowd to make sure that they remember me. And it's just very important that you do that. And the great thing about the Progress crowd, great in this country in general, is that they will come up with things and they will pull things out of their asses and say, this is what your chant is. And in my case, it's the high pitched Charlie, which I assume is from a well-known YouTube video that most people know. But I appreciate that, because I can then bounce off them, and anyone new coming into the crowd can see that as well. And I've been plaguing them for months now, so it's nice for them to realize and notice that they can get to me sometimes, and because of their plaguing, we probably lost the tag titles.
Yeah. Blame the Progress fans. Yeah, definitely that. Blame us. I can't.
But it's great. It's great that you were able to go on and speak to those people afterwards, and I hope they had some lovely feedback for us.
Oh, they loved. Yeah, I think the general consensus from everyone that went there was it was an amazing. It was an amazing show from from bell to bell, from us, from Jack at the start to Spike and Lycos at the end. It was just an incredible. I can't think of many better shows that I've been to that's not over in America. If that's a compliment, I don't know.
Sure.
That's how
it's a great compliment. America has always been the buzz, always been where the big wrestling shows happen. WrestleMania happens every year, so it's always going to be compared. And since 2016, we had a little dip with the pandemic and coming back up again, but since then, Progress have always been a solid point in this country with pro wrestling. And I'm very glad, especially from a story-based pro wrestling company, I'm so glad that they are doing as well as they are.
That is important, though, isn't it? About when you go to, I know it's an independent wrestling circuit, so you are sort of here, there, and everywhere. But it is important. And what I've got from speaking to people lately is it's not just the people that you got wrestling for, it is the stories behind what you're trying to tell. It is vastly important now, and it's becoming more important even in independent wrestling wherever you go now. I was speaking to Kelly Six yesterday, another one that's just come back from Japan, and he was saying that, you know, it is more about what can I do for you and what's the story we can tell more than me just coming in and wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. And you do work together, and you build a story together, and you find out what the story points are, and everybody's got their own agenda. Everybody wants to go in and get their little bits in. You know, it's that's pro wrestling. You know, it's we're all egomaniacs, and but it's all about working with each other, trying and get the best out of what you're trying to achieve. And in this case, that story with Dominatus Reina, Lycos Jim, Spike, and Lycos Bullet. In Lycos 2, they had the people on their feet after that match. You know, it's all about getting to a point where we can. Where are we getting to with this story, and where are we going? And I felt at Twisted Metal that we got to where we wanted to get to. We told the story and we got through it. And you can't say more. I think the guys at Progress did a great job with that show.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
as well as myself, obviously.
Well, obviously, yeah. You said, but no, as I said, it was probably one of the best bell for bell shows that I've been to. Electric Ballroom. I want to talk about it. It is obviously it's well renowned for its music as well as anything else. But that venue for me, and I tell you what, it reminds me of a little bit. And I don't know how long you've watched. You know, I'm nearly 40, so just to give you an idea of how old I am, might not look it, but I am.
You're great.
I look great. Yeah, thanks. But going on them shows, Electric Ballroom reminds me a lot of. Do you remember the Hammerstein? Is it the Hammerstein Ballroom, the old ECW arena? I don't know if it's the 2300. I can't quite remember, but it gives me that vibe. The crowd of rockers. There's that sort of. I'm not saying it's a small venue at all, but it's just the way the arena's set up. You've got the balconies. You've got that. That's what I see as the Electric Ballroom. It's kind of my version of the ECW arena. I don't know how you feel about performing in that.
Well, I didn't actually perform in that till quite late. You know, Progress has been running for a long time before I managed to get my foot in the door there. And it was always a venue that I'd wanted to work at. I'd watched videos of Progress online and things, and it was always a very historic venue, especially the last 10 years of pro wrestling in this country. So I think it's definitely got a vibe to it. Yeah, it's one of those places that you turn up and you stand at the stage when no one's in there, and you look at it and you go, yeah, this is solid. This is a good venue. It's when it's packed out in there, it rocks. And I think any pro wrestler in this country, any young pro wrestler coming through, should have it on their bucket list to work in that venue.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as I said, it's my ECW arena. That's how I'm going. And that's not a disrespect to Progress saying the words ECW. It is just that.
ECW is great. You get Nick Riley on here and he'll tell you everything from ECW. He doesn't know anything about any wrestling, but you ask him anything about ECW and he'll tell you everything. He loves it. Rob Van Dam champion.
There you go, Nick. Well, the offer, I'll slide into Nick's DMs.
Yeah, get him on here.
Nick another day.
He's been wrestling for years. You know how long Nick's been wrestling?
No,
I've been wrestling for 12. He's been wrestling for nearly 20 years.
Has he really?
Yeah, he's like 40 now.
He's my age.
Yeah, nearly, yeah.
I'll have to have a look at that. He doesn't look 40, but I don't want to tell him that because he might get a big head. Yeah, I know you said I look great, but I can't.
He's very handsome, and he's a great professional wrestler as well. So.
Yeah, he is a very good professional wrestler. No, that is without a doubt. I can't disagree with that. We did touch on, and speaking of ECW, we do have Devon Dudley coming as well. So yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, we just finished up with our interview with Devon. Great interview.
Yeah, but it was nice.
Everyone check that one out. Shameless plug on here for me. We do have to talk as we're starting to wrap things up. We are obviously this close to WrestleMania, and it wouldn't be right for me not to ask you a couple of questions. I've been over there before my heart issue. I went over there I went to 5 WrestleManias consecutively, not recent ones, probably starting from 21, then it was 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Yeah, so there we go. I went to those in consecutive things, and it's a great thing. It's a bit like what you said. When you go there, you stand there, you look around, you take it all in. But WrestleMania 40 this year is looking like it's going to be probably the biggest one they've done in a while. The Rock's back, they're bleeding, they're swearing, they're doing all of the stuff they used to do. The main question for me I've got about WrestleMania is, in your mind, and I'll give you my creative ending in a minute, is Cody going to finish the story at WrestleMania?
Yeah, of course he is.
You think he is?
Yeah, he's going to topple The Rock.
I don't think they're going to win.
The Rock. Love The Rock.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
He's going to topple The Rock. He's going to topple Roman Reigns. He's going to go on the Sunday and he's going to win the lot.
I would like to give you my, and this is, maybe I'm trying to be a bit too creative here. How I wouldn't have him finish the story. Well, there's two things I've got two creative ways of doing it.
Mm.
I say the word creative. I've never done this in my life, but the way I do it is they lose the first one the night, so it's Bloodline Rules in the second show, right? So
Yeah,
that's
sounds right.
yeah,
Mm.
and I'd have it that it kind of goes the way it went last time. So he hits the crossroads a couple of times, goes to do it again, solo spikes him, Roman spears him. He kicks out though this time. And in my creative bit at the end is he's hit the crossroads 3 times. He goes for the cover, and either Seth Rollins or Jey Uso pulls him out of the ring. They hit him with
Whoa.
their move, and then they go
Oh.
back in. And either Jey joins the bloodline and rejoins it. And it was the plan all along,
Mm.
set it up again, or Seth turns on him because of the history where Cody hasn't beaten 3 times, and because Cody didn't choose him for the championship match.
Solid thought that is actually.
Solid
Yeah,
thought.
that's a solid idea. I gotta say though, I think if they lose the tag match on the Saturday,
Yeah.
and then all the odds are stacked against Cody, then
Yeah.
you've got and he doesn't win, then I think they've rewritten they put the New Testament out on the Bible of pro wrestling, because if all the odds are against the babyface and he doesn't come out on top, then I think they've rewritten the rules there. So I think maybe they'll lose the tag, and then Bloodline Rules. You got yourself a Monday Nitro run in at the end from everybody you can imagine, and then I guess maybe Goldust to turn up.
You know what? I had that as well, and I had it that my other thought was he was going to cost Cody. So everyone against costing Cody. I don't mean that.
I don't like Cody Rhodes.
I do like I do like Cody. I've got that. It's just I don't personally think that they're ready for Roman to lose it, and I think that's why he's and it's getting close to Hogan's reign, right? We're getting very close, and I don't think you're going to get one anytime soon that's going to come close to that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they hold it maybe a bit longer. I don't know. I could be.
Maybe a theory is The Rock turns on Roman Reigns, and then that sets up The Rock and Roman Reigns for next year, maybe.
Or SummerSlam or wherever they want to do. And Drew's got to win the title because he needs he needs it in front of a crowd.
For sure. Hey, whatever happens, it's going to be a great show, and I'll be definitely tuning in to watch it 100%.
It's 2 nights I've got a review in a row of wrestling at 1 o'clock in the morning, which is not always nice, but we can watch it in the mornings if we want to. We can watch it anytime we want, which is the beauty of.
Well, it's my birthday on Monday, so I shall be spending my birthday watching wrestling.
Well, I can't think of any better ways to be watching wrestling. It's my 40th in June, and there's a show a couple of days later that I'm attending. After, well, I'm going to. So I'll be going to after my 40th to attend England on my birthday, football-wise.
Oh, good man.
So I have that to look into. Charlie, it's been awesome talking to you, and I really appreciate you taking your time, especially while you're injured. While you're healing up from your injury, to come on and talk to me about how it's going and the stories and everything else. So I really do appreciate that. I hope and pray that we see you in the ring this year. Like you said, touch wood that we will do. We look forward to seeing you back at the Electric Ballroom. I'm sure you're gutted because they're heading off to America. I didn't want to mention that.
You can always mention that. I mean,
no, but they're
I've got the visa in my pocket. I'll be there at some point.
You will be there at some point. But Charlie, again, all the best for your injury. I hope it heals up well, and we get to see you in progress and in wrestling again very soon.
Thank you, Adam. Everybody hit me on Instagram at C Sterling Pro. Give me a follow on there, and you can keep up with my injury.
You can indeed. And then from us, I have to mention this because we've got a championship at Ignite. Our men's champion, Smashing Mike, will be defending the championship against the brilliant James Ellis on the 21st of April over Ignite at Full Throttle. That's the show before the show that we're sponsoring the whole event with Ignite in July, which will be Buckle Up. Names to be confirmed. I'm not allowed to mention anybody at this moment in time. Maybe Charlie will get the scoop off air, but I can't.
Absolutely will. And Ignite will give me a shout at the end of the year when they want to come, and I'll challenge James Ellis if he wins that championship, that little piece of shit.
well, there is a number 1 contenders match at Full Throttle as well, which will then be the person who I believe is next in line for our championship match, and that is get Corey McRae versus Jay Joshua versus someone that's very familiar to Progress, Mark True.
Mark True, yeah. I like Corey as well. Corey's a great lad.
Corey is indeed. So they're the whole card is on Ignite Wrestling Pro. Go to Eventbrite/Ignite, and you can get some tickets. Less than 40 left at the time of recording. Anyway, Progress Wrestling is obviously they'll be in America. They're doing Philadelphia. They'll be back for 1 bump or 2, which is unfortunately on the same day as nice. I can't be at that one, but they do have Super Strong Style 16 coming up over the bank holiday weekend in May. They'll be definitely going to see both of those shows, as well as there's one before All In as well. I think Wrestling Never Sleeps. I believe it's the one in August. I'll be
The
there.
weekend, I think.
Yeah, indeed. And
I might be there.
you may be, I was about to say, that is, possibly there. But Charlie, again, thank you so much for your time. Guys, just keep following us at HTT Buckle on Twitter, Hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast at all other social media platforms. Until next time, everybody, he has been one half of the Smoking Aces, Charlie Sterling. I have been your host, Adam Cousins. Buckle down, stay safe. Goodbye.